It's a pretty sight, isn't it? Clear, sparkling water running down a natural channel into the downstream lake. But perhaps not all is as it seems. During times of heavy rain, dilute sewage is discharged scarcely 100 metres upstream of this point into this very stream. Sewage pollution of watercourses like this is one of the most hotly debated issues of recent years. To understand it, we need to look back at the origins of our sewerage system. Leeds, in the early 19th century, was in the grip of recurring epidemic diseases. They arose out of the insanitary living conditions in the poorer parts of the township. 2,000 people died as a result of the 1849 cholera outbreak. In the country at large, up to 1,150 people a day were dying. It was in response to this that the first comprehensive sewerage system in Leeds was built in the 1850s. The new sewer system received both foul water and rainwater runoff. Unfortunately, as the town expanded and the sewer network was extended, properties in the low-lying parts of the town started to experience sewage backing up problems. There just wasn't enough capacity. The council approved a proposal by their sewerage engineer, Thomas Hewson, to build a dozen or so storm reliefs, or overflows, at strategic points on the system. Work proceeded in the 1880s to give effect to this. Other towns were doing the same. Since that time, the number of overflows, known as combined sewage overflows or CSOs, has proliferated. There are now more than 200 in Leeds. These are not illegal. All are subject to formal consents and conditions imposed by the Environment Agency or its predecessors under prevailing legislation. Many of the overflows discharge into amenity watercourses and important habitats. Some of the dilute sewage even ends up in ornamental lakes like the ones at Roundhay Park and Glenhow Valley Woods. Pressure has been increasing on water companies to improve matters. In 2021, a new Environment Act was introduced to provide a revised domestic framework for environmental governance. The Act stipulates that storm overflow discharges must be reported annually. Details of location and stop and start times of the discharges must be given. The first annual report in 2021 caused outrage and hit the newspaper headlines. CSOs across England had discharged into watercourses 370,000 times, not just in periods of exceptional rainfall. They had operated for a combined total of 2.6 million hours, injecting a cocktail of fecal matter, rainwater, industrial chemicals, microplastics, etc. into our rivers. The discharges into Leeds watercourses in 2023 lasted for 20,000 hours. As part of a citizen science project, 2 volunteer groups decided to check out the impact on watercourses feeding into ornamental lakes in our area, the lakes in Roundhay Park and Glenhow Valley Woods. We decided to check out their progress and findings. We went out to see some of the testing being done on a cold March day by members of the Roundhay Freshwater Watch group.
Well, we're part of REAP, the Roundhay Environmental Action Project, and there's a lot of publicity around at the moment about the state of waters in the UK. So we're just interested to see what our local water was like.
So how did your group get together?
One member saw an advert for funding. A national organisation called ChangeX provide money for community groups to participate in all sorts of projects, and they link them with other organisations that have the technology and the support. So we got money from ChangeX to work with Freshwater Watch, who provided us with all our testing kit, a data management system, and the training.
So this is being done at a national
scale very much.
as well.
In fact, they're both international organisations.
Yes.
And REAP appealed for volunteers.
Right. So how many are in your group doing this?
There's about 10 of us now.
All right.
So,
Yeah, and we also link with the Friends of Roundhay Park. Some of the testers are the Friends of Roundhay Park.
How long will you be doing this for?
We've got the money to do it for 1 year. This is our 4th month, and we think we need to do at least 2 years.
Yes, yeah. How frequently?
Once a month. We're committed
month,
to doing it once a month.
Yeah. So moving on to the citizen science project aspect of it, the kits that you're being given, what will they be testing for exactly?
We're testing for nitrates, phosphates and turbidity, the amount of sediment, but we've just used some of our money to buy dissolved oxygen and conductivity kits, so we'll be moving up, we'll be adding those over the next few months.
Okay, so we've now moved to a different part of the park, and we're at where Ram Beck comes down through Ram Woods and goes into the upper lake of Roundhay Park, and I'm here with 2 other members of the Freshwater Watch group, and that's Heather and Martin, who are going to show us how they take the samples for phosphates, nitrates and turbidity from Ram Beck itself.
I'll try and make sure it's not where I've stirred up any sediment, and it's roughly in the middle of the stream.
This is the sample that you're going to test?
That's the sample we're going to test, yes.
And nitrates,
and we'll take it somewhere a bit more stable to do.
So you don't do any bacteriological tests on this at the moment?
Not at the moment. That's a possibility for the future.
I see.
Because the nitrate and phosphate readings so far have been relatively low, but 1 or 2 have been a bit on the high side. As you said, there's a combined sewage outflow about 325 metres upstream.
Have you done any tests yet when you know that the overflow has been operating?
We're pretty certain it's been operating. We've done it when it's been when the water level's been up here, because that screen can be filled.
And have you noticed any deterioration in water quality in those circumstances?
Not directly, but I think it's very early days yet, and I think we need to perhaps be looking at over a longer period. We're only on, I think,
a 4th month,
test, so I think it's a bit early to make any definitive decisions about that.
Yorkshire Water did carry out some improvement works recently in order to try and reduce the number of overflow occasions, didn't they? And I understand that there does seem to have been a reduction in the number of rags. I don't know if that's your experience.
Yeah, we were able to, you probably can't see from here, but the amount of waste, wet wipes and sanitary products that were coming down here was very significant. We were able to fill maybe 4 or 5 bags, because I run the litter picking team for Friends of Roundhay Park, so we used to periodically come and try and clean Ram Beck out. That I can show you areas further up where it used to hang on the roots of trees like
oh dear.
It was like washing out to dry. Really staggering.
Is this one of the things that prompted you to get involved in this exercise?
Yes, very much so. Because we were aware that of all the solid material, the sanitary ware and all the rest of it that was coming down, then that was obviously coming down sewers, and it was accompanied by the stuff that was more soluble. So, and we didn't like the thought of how much of that was going into the upper lake and then the lower lake and then on eventually, I think, to the River Aire.
Meanwhile, the Friends of Gledhow Valley Woods have been testing at 8 locations on Gledhow Beck since September 2023. They are using kits supplied by Water Rangers, a Canada and UK based non-profit organisation.
Rinse it out a couple of times. I'm going to take a sample. Also have a look at the condition of the water, if it's fast flowing, if it's cloudy or not, and things. And then we can use this to do our sampling.
So here we're measuring the level of ammonia in the water, and we're just waiting for it to give us a result. And the ammonia can only come from sewage in the water, the CSOs. 463. So that is very high. That's a correct reading. That's incredibly high. We've never had a reading of that high before.
0.05 or something.
Yes.
It's incredibly low, or zero.
Yes. We've been working now since September 23, so we've been going for some time. The project is an indefinite project. We need to monitor the quality of the water over time, so it is important that we do it on a consistent basis. So we're doing it monthly for indefinitely. We're testing for sort of chemicals in the water, the quality of the water. So we're testing for things like ammonia, phosphate levels, nitrate levels, oxygen levels, all the things that sort of indicate the health of the water. We're doing some kick sampling as well. So we measure the invertebrates in the water, because that tells us just what the quality of the water is and whether it can sustain aquatic life. We're testing for E. coli as well on a regular sort of basis, and that's shown quite high levels of E. coli over time in the lake particularly. The source of that E. coli, there's only really two sources that it could be, from sort of farm animals or from humans. Clearly there's no farm animals around here, so it must be out of the sewers, the combined sewer outlets that flow into Gledhow Beck. Certainly there needs to be drastic sort of improvements. The CSOs, 4 CSOs discharge every time there's a poor weather incident into the beck, and it's clearly destroying the aquatic life in the beck, and having a substantial impact on the amenity value of the area. So it is quite important that something is done about that.
A year or more on from the start of the project, it's time to take stock. The citizen scientists at Gledhow Valley present their findings to the public, firstly in a 35-page report, and secondly as an easily digestible 2-sided leaflet. The study had identified 3 main sources of pollution. Yes, of course, the 4 combined sewage overflows, which had discharged dilute sewage into Gledhow Beck for about 400 hours in 2024, but also misconnected plumbing. Wastewater from some homes is entering surface water drains from incorrectly plumbed appliances and flowing untreated into the beck and lake. At least 3 misconnection sites have been confirmed. And road runoff. Rainwater washes oil, heavy metals, tyre particles and microplastics from the roads into the beck and lake through unmonitored outfalls. The report was launched at the Summer Green Fair in Gledhow Valley. Hundreds of people received the leaflet and examined the evidence at a popular stall. The citizen scientists have conducted monthly water chemistry sampling, kick testing and bacterial assessments, accompanied by data collected from academics on pharmaceuticals and sediment contamination. The key findings make uncomfortable reading. Nitrate concentrations are elevated at several sites, promoting algal growth which can reduce oxygen levels and biodiversity. Aquatic invertebrate diversity is lower than in other North Leeds becks and the lower air catchment as a whole, with very few clean water indicator species, suggesting poor water quality. E. coli bacteria levels in Gledhow Lake regularly exceed bathing water safety standards. High conductivity levels may indicate an excess of dissolved substances which can stress aquatic life. Pharmaceutical contamination, including forever chemicals, was found in both the beck and the lake. It's too early to report definitive results from Roundhay Park, but initial findings show some causes for concern. In a year of testing, the Roundhay group found elevated nitrate levels in more than half of the samples taken, particularly so in Foxwood Beck and Rambeck. In autumn 2025, after a long dry summer, the council had to erect signs warning of blue-green algae contamination in Waterloo Lake, a likely result of excess nitrates. Excess nitrates are usually due to runoff from agricultural land. Here, however, the affected streams only pick up flows from developed areas of Roundhay, not fields. Even though steps have been taken by Yorkshire Water to reduce spill frequency of the Park Lane combined sewer overflow into Rambeck, spills still do happen in short, sharp storms. Indeed, the tally of spills for the 19 months from January 2024 into the streams feeding the Gledhow and Roundhay Park lakes makes dismal viewing. All in all, these ongoing citizen science projects have shown that there is a cause for concern. Improvements are essential and future vigilance is needed.